Imagine standing on an African savanna more than 100,000 years ago. A newborn foal struggles to its feet within minutes, ready to follow the herd before predators arrive. But inside a nearby cave, a human infant enters the world utterly defenseless, unable to lift its head, regulate its own body temperature, or even crawl toward its mother's embrace. Why would evolution produce such a fragile beginning? The answer lies in one of humanity's greatest evolutionary paradoxes. Our ancestors paid a remarkable price for walking upright and evolving larger brains. Yet this apparent weakness became the very force that shaped compassion, cooperation, and ultimately the civilization we know today. Now, picture yourself inside that cave. The fire crackles against the stone walls. Shadows dance across the faces of a small hunting band as one woman grips her mother's arm, breathing through waves of pain unlike those experienced by almost any other mammal. Outside, the world is filled with danger. Inside, an entirely different battle is unfolding. The struggle to bring a new human life into existence. But here is something most people never realize. Unlike chimpanzees, whose infants usually emerge facing their mothers, a human baby typically rotates several times while passing through the birth canal and is often born facing away from the mother. This complex sequence is the result of what anthropologists call the obstetric dilemma. The evolutionary compromise between a narrow pelvis for efficient bipedal walking and a large fetal head capable of housing an expanding brain. Think about that for a moment. If you had lived 100,000 years ago, who would have helped deliver your own birth? Many anthropologists believe the answer was almost certainly another person, experienced women. Perhaps mothers, grandmothers, or older relatives. Likely acted as the first midwives, guiding the baby's shoulders, clearing the airway, and comforting the laboring mother. While direct archaeological evidence for prehistoric midwifery is scarce, the anatomy of human birth, combined with cross-cultural studies of traditional societies, strongly suggests that assisted birth became an evolutionary advantage rather than a cultural luxury. Perhaps the first act of human cooperation wasn't hunting together. Perhaps it was helping someone else bring a child safely into the world. The baby's first cry fades into the quiet rhythm of breathing. But the journey has only just begun. Unlike the newborns of most mammals, a prehistoric human infant could not be left alone. Not for hours, and often not even for minutes. Every moment apart meant a greater risk of losing warmth, missing a feeding, or falling victim to predators. Survival depended on one simple rule: stay close. Imagine carrying your child every waking hour. Across forests, rivers, and open grasslands, every step, every hunt, every gathering expedition happened with an infant pressed against an adult's chest or back. Before wooden cradles, woven baskets, or stone houses, the human body itself became the first cradle. Modern science reveals just how extraordinary this closeness is. Skin-to-skin contact helps stabilize a newborn's heart rate, breathing, and body temperature while reducing stress hormones and encouraging successful breastfeeding. Researchers have even found that a mother's chest can subtly adjust its temperature to warm a cool infant or cool an overheated one. A remarkable biological response often called thermal synchrony. Could our ancestors have understood the science behind it? Almost certainly not. But they didn't need to. Generation after generation, experience taught them that babies who remained close to their caregivers were simply more likely to survive. To make constant carrying possible, prehistoric people likely fashioned simple slings from animal hides, woven grasses, or plant fibers. Though these early carriers rarely survive in the archaeological record, similar designs appear across traditional societies on nearly every continent, suggesting that keeping babies attached to the body was one of humanity's oldest and most successful parenting innovations. The first home a human being ever knew wasn't a cave. It was another human heart, beating only inches away. Now, let me ask you a question. Who do you think kept a prehistoric baby alive when its mother needed to gather food, recover from childbirth, or simply rest? If your answer is the entire group, you're closer to the truth than you might imagine. Picture the evening after a successful day of foraging. Around the glow of a campfire, an infant is gently passed from one pair of caring hands to another. An older sister rocks the baby while listening to stories. An uncle keeps watch for danger. A grandmother returns with baskets of edible roots, berries, and nuts, allowing the new mother to devote precious energy to nursing her child. In this world, raising a baby was rarely the responsibility of just two parents. It was a shared investment in the future of the community. Anthropologists describe this remarkable strategy as cooperative breeding. Unlike most primates, humans evolved in societies where individuals other than the biological parents, known as alloparents, regularly helped care for children. This network of caregivers dramatically increased an infant's chances of survival, while enabling mothers to recover more quickly and, over time, raise multiple dependent children. But the story becomes even more fascinating. One influential idea, known as the grandmother hypothesis, proposes that menopause itself may have become evolutionarily advantageous because older women could contribute more to the survival of their grandchildren than by continuing to have children of their own. Studies of modern hunter-gatherer societies have shown that grandmothers often provide substantial food and childcare, increasing the health and survival of younger generations. Think about that for a moment. What if one of humanity's greatest evolutionary advantages wasn't sharper weapons or stronger muscles, but grandparents? Perhaps the secret behind our species' success was never the strength of one individual. It was the strength of a family, and ultimately, the strength of a community that chose to care for its smallest members together. But compassion didn't begin with Homo sapiens. In Spain's Cova Negra cave, archaeologists discovered the fossilized temporal bone of a Neanderthal child, known as CN46700. The remains suggest the child may have suffered from developmental challenges, making survival without constant care highly unlikely. Think about that. For this child to live beyond infancy, someone had to feed, protect, and carry them day after day. This is not direct proof of love, but it is compelling evidence that Neanderthals invested time and energy in caring for vulnerable children who could give little in return. Perhaps this is one of the oldest stories ever told. Not through words, but through bones. Long before cities, kingdoms, or written history, humanity's closest relatives may already have understood a simple truth. The weakest members of the group were worth protecting. As human societies grew, so did their creativity. Archaeologists have uncovered tiny clay-feeding vessels from Neolithic Europe, some shaped like small animals. Residue analysis suggests they once held animal milk, offering a safe way to feed infants when breastfeeding was not possible. Simple solutions also appeared for everyday care, from soft plant fibers to animal skins used to keep babies warm and dry. These inventions remind us that technology did not begin with metal or machines. It began with parents finding new ways to help their children survive. Not every child survived in prehistory. Illness, hunger, and harsh environments made loss a familiar part of life. Yet archaeological burials show that many infants and children were laid to rest with care, suggesting they were deeply valued long before history was ever written. Now, think about your own life. Can you remember someone who held your hand when you were too small to face the world alone? That simple act of care links you to countless generations stretching back tens of thousands of years. Childhood was never just a stage of life. It was humanity's greatest investment in the future. If this journey changed the way you see our prehistoric ancestors, let us know in the comments. What surprised you the most about raising children in the Stone Age? And if you'd like to explore more stories where archaeology and science reveal the hidden roots of human nature, don't forget to subscribe, and join us for the next documentary. Because in the end, what truly made us human was not our strength. It was our willingness to protect those who had none.